Hey everybody, welcome to Atlanta Braves Chop Live. We've got a really special guest today to bring to you, Andreia Albies, and she's going to be talking to us today about the Ozzie Albies Foundation and all the great work that they're doing to promote
Fundraising.
adoption and fostering and just helping the animal community. And here, Andreia Albies, if you want to say hello to our fans out there.
Yes. Hey guys, I'm so happy to be on. Sorry, my connection got a little frozen in the beginning, but I'm so happy to chat with you guys. You guys do an amazing job supporting, the efforts that we put into the Ozzie Albies Foundation, and we see it, we appreciate it. We love to connect with fans. We love to share our lives with them. So I love what you guys are doing with the fan group and connecting everybody.
Thank you so much. And I really enjoy what you're doing and really have to applaud what you're doing with the foundation. Um, our family here over the last 20 years or so, we've had our first pet was a Shih Tzu. His name was Jen that we got from a breeder. But after Jen, a few years later, we adopted, we went like I think a lot of people, we went to like a big pet store and they had the adoption rescues outside and we adopted a rescue. Her name was Bella. She was a brindle pit mix. And after Bella, we adopted another pit mix. Her name was Winnie. She was white and brown, very sweet. And then now currently there was a stray in our neighborhood, and there was like one of those emails that went out to the entire neighborhood, like, hey, there's this stray and we can't take care of it. Is anybody interested? So my wife was like, "Hey, go pick that dog up." And so now we have a blue heeler mix. Her name is May, and then our youngest daughter just adopted a kitty rescue. She's off at college right now, so we've tried to do what we can. Maybe just out of loving love for pets, but
Yeah.
the Ozzie Albies Foundation, we wanted to kind of let you talk about, give us a general overview and like how did the foundation, I guess, most importantly, get started? Like what started the love that at some point it was like, let's start this foundation and we're going to focus on adoption, rescue, education, things like that.
Sorry about that. Yes. So we started the foundation in 2021. It was always a love that we had. I mean, we always loved animals. We grew up loving animals. Ozzy has always been a big dog lover, a big fish lover. And when we thought about starting the Ozzy Albies Foundation, it was just really to educate the community because we didn't know a lot about rescue. My first childhood dog we got from a breeder. And then
Mhm.
after my childhood dog passed, that's when we started to visit the shelters and look more into it. And you really can find any dog, any pet really at a shelter. And when we decided to start it, we really wanted to share that with the public is you can get any pet you want from a shelter. And we wanted to also be a source to provide, support to families that already have those pets and may be struggling. Because when we first went to a shelter, to tour a shelter, we started up the Ozzie Albies Foundation. We went to tour a shelter and we met our dog Bubbles. And it was like a very spontaneous adoption because Ozzy saw Bubbles and he fell in love. I mean, he just looked at him and he's like, we're taking him home. And I'm like, all right, there's not much discussion here to be. We didn't really discuss it. We just, Ozzy wanted him and Bubbles loved him. So we took him home the same day. And a few weeks after that, like about, I would say almost a month into the adoption, Bubbles had an issue with our other dogs and they didn't really get along. And it was just, they got in a fight and it was
Mhm.
really hard for us to deal with that. And that's when we started to get into training. And that really turned everything around for us. So we got into training. We understood Bubbles a lot more. It helped us stay with him too, because a lot of families, they go through this where they adopt a dog and then a
Mhm.
couple of weeks or months into it, there might be something that happened that triggered or caused something to happen, and they feel like they don't have anywhere to turn to. They may have to return the dog to the shelter or the rescue. And, having gone through that and working with Bubbles and seeing the difference it made, we wanted to share that with people too, is that you can stay with your pet. We can help you understand your pet better and help you guys stay together as a family instead of feeling like you have to give them up. So that's a big component also of the Ozzie Albies Foundation, is the training.
We found ourselves in a very similar, almost mirror image, little plug
Yeah.
for Mirror Image Canine, but different different outcomes. So with Winnie, she was a rescue pit mix, and um, we were walking, and another dog kind of like snapped at her, and I think that kind of woke something up inside her from like a previous bad experience from being in a shelter. And so, we did the best we could to try to, who do we go to for training? And just locally where we were, there was a couple of places recommended. We chose one, and it turned out like, don't judge, hopefully, please, I'm sorry. But it turned out to be like, basically like shock collar training.
Mhm.
We didn't know, we really didn't know at the time. And, we kind of like trusted that, okay, well, this is going to be good training because they're professionals and they have a business and people recommended it.
Yeah.
And maybe from other people, it's a great for them. But for us, it just didn't really help her. And I think maybe just because of her past and, whatever may have happened to her emotionally in the past, it just didn't work out well for us. So can you tell us about, I saw on your website, one of your partners, Mirror Image Canine. Can you tell us? And they said they focus on the psychology of the dog, and that's not something that we previously heard. And when I read that, I was like, wow, the psychology of the dog. What does that mean? Can you tell us, like, how does Mirror Image Canine? What does that focus on, and how is that like a really good training approach for dogs, especially rescues?
Well, I really believe in the psychology and relationship based training because it's not hard. It's easy. It's really about you understanding your dog, understanding their personality, and creating a good relationship with them where they are looking at you as security and their confidence is building, and they are not worried about that other dog across the street or that person that's approaching you. So we use techniques that is just on daily basis. It's about the routine that you have with your dog, from the way that you guys walk together to the boundaries and the rules that you set forward for your dog, so they can understand what you want from them. And it's a lot like raising a child, right? Like when you have your little baby and they're getting into that stage, they're learning how to talk, they're learning how to walk, they're just gathering all that information. You're not just going to let them do whatever they want, right? You're not going to
Right.
let them walk all over the couch and eat on the couch and throw their dinner on the couch and do whatever. You're going to teach them manners. You're going to understand their personality. You're going to teach them new information. You're going to teach them how to be a good human being. So what we believe in is we're teaching our dogs the rules that they need to follow in the house. We're teaching them what it is to walk on the leash the right way and to look up at us for information, because we need to be the source of information for our dogs. So they look at us to determine how to react towards any new scenario. So it's a really unique and interesting form of training. And we're really blessed to have been able to connect with Mirror Image and learn and be able to rescue so many dogs because, the dogs, when you pull from a shelter or when we get dogs that are being rehomed, a lot of times, those dogs, they are there because of some behavioral issue, right? Someone
Mhm.
labeled them something. They labeled
Right.
them, anxious or, reactive or whatever it may be. So we take our time to understand that dog and put them in, in the right home, but understanding their personality. And many times, like dogs that are labeled hyperactive, they're not. They're just misunderstood.
Mhm.
We rescued a dog that in the rehoming post, they wrote, they just can't stay still. Like they knock the little kids down in the house. It's chaos. They're never able to relax. When we took this dog in and started teaching them rules, boundaries, what information, the proper information they needed, this dog was the calmest, sweetest dog. And we placed them in a home with a 5-year old, and they lived the best life together. Like the
That's
parents
wonderful.
understand what they need to do to protect the child and the dog, and they create boundaries. And they are happy, and we receive updates on them, and it's wonderful. But it's really about teaching and education and understanding your dog. And really, dogs are a reflection of us. So if you have this crazy anxious dog, maybe you're a little anxious too. That anxiety comes from somewhere. So
How did you transition from the first dog you adopted to deciding to go into the foundation, starting the foundation? And do you remember the first dog that ended up getting adopted?
yes. So, and before we go further, Ozzy's playing Fortnite downstairs and he's very passionate about it. So, if you hear any background screaming, it is him with his PlayStation. So our first dog that we ever got together was Poochie, and he was a rehoming case. So college girls had Poochie, they were busy, they were never home. They posted a rehoming post on Facebook or something, and my mom saw it. And that's how we got connected with Poochie. And he was the first dog we had. We lived in an apartment at the time. We actually lived at the Battery,
Oh,
and
okay.
we just couldn't get bigger dogs. So when we got Poochie, it was just Poochie for about a year and a half. And then my brother had Kane, our other dog, that it now lives with us because his schedule changed, and Kane was better off living with us. And then after that, it was just like Bubbles came in the picture, and then our other dog Max was a rehoming case. So a lot of them were rehomed to us,
Mhm.
and now we're up to 6 and 7 actually, because my mom just recently adopted one of our rescue dogs, but she's over our house every single day. And it sounds like a lot, but we have a good system going. Like they know their crate, they know, we separate them, they all have their own time. But yeah, we have 7 dogs and one after the other. I feel like we got a lot of dogs at once, like in a period of 1 year. We were like, we'll keep this one, we'll keep this one, we'll keep this.
Yeah.
So we just like opened up our home to lots of pets really quickly.
That makes me think like six or seven dogs. That's a lot. So hopefully you have like a big yard also.
Yeah.
It just made me think like what are the aspirations of the foundation? Like are you kicking around an idea of maybe you know what? we we see that local county, city, community shelters are overcrowded. We see, like, unfortunately, maybe some of the conditions are not as great as they could be. Have you ever kicked around the idea of, you know what, we want to build our own shelter, or maybe, or something like that? Have you ever, like, is that maybe on the
Oh, yeah.
horizon?
Oh, yeah, we talk about it a lot. I mean, we did an event last year. It was a very intimate event. We opened it up to about 50 fans that could buy the tickets and come in and support the foundation. And we even presented an idea to what we're thinking about in terms of shelter space. And, it's definitely something that we want to do in Atlanta is open a community space where people could come in, meet the dogs, and bring them in for training, connect with trainers, do free educational classes for families that recently adopted. Really a place where people can come in, ask questions, get support.
Mhm.
With our local shelters, they're overcrowded all the time. as we get farther out, from Atlanta, you really don't have shelters. And people find strays, they take them to the local shelter. The shelter says they can't take them. What do you do
Right.
now? And we even help a woman up in Cobbtown, Georgia, that these areas are really just farm areas, and there's tons of strays that roam the lands and nobody does anything.
I saw that on your website, and I was like, I shouldn't be surprised, to continue your story, like, why is that area seemingly unique, or is that not unique, and it's just like an area that you're focused on?
Well, it's not really. I mean, that area is unique to us because Donna, who lives out there, she is a wonderful person with a huge heart, and she's been reaching out to us for a while, asking for help because in her area there, she has trail cams and she can see
Uh,
just like all these dogs roaming, and then she finds puppies that are just, turns out in one of her barns, and she tries her best, but she really can't do much because she's on her own, and so is her husband. They're really doing it on their own. So we've stepped in to help them. But she's tried to contact the sheriff's office. She tried to contact the local shelter there. Nobody helps. So I think that's unfortunate because as citizens, we should have support from the county when situations like this come up. Because if you find a stray dog and the shelter can't help you, and you are a busy person with a family with other pets, what do you do? Why is this now your responsibility? Because you want to help this animal that you found and you don't want to just leave them on the road.
for sure.
And Ozzie and I were both from country. Ozzie's from Curacao, I'm from Brazil, and it's bad over there. It's really sad. You go into different areas and you see tons of stray dogs, and it's definitely something that if the government took time and put resources into controlling the pet population and offering resources, you wouldn't see this neglect just from walking down the street. Now you have to see a neglected dog, you can't do anything. It's heartbreaking. So here I think
Definitely.
we're not seeing that strays just roaming the streets as much, but as we get farther away from Atlanta, it's still a big problem in Georgia, period. So
I recently got to go to the World Series, and we saw Ozzie was practicing his correspondence. People love that, and but y'all got to visit a shelter in LA as well, right? You want to share that a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I mean, Ozzie, first of all, he loved being the correspondent. It was so fun. He was kind of nervous going into it because he's never done anything like that. But he's been working on his YouTube channel, and I think that helped, him talk and be more comfortable just talking and expressing himself. So that was so fun. The MLB did a great job hosting us. We had a lot of fun. They put us up on the suite. We got to meet a lot of people. It was other baseball players there, and Ozzie had a blast. Traffic was horrible, of course. It took an hour to just get out of the stadium, just to exit. And we couldn't be happier for Freddie, of course. But
Yes, definitely.
yeah, they're in LA. We planned to go see a shelter. We did not make it to the shelter. I contacted the shelter there and never heard back. Usually shelters have a rescue coordinator. So I think we tried to find a volunteer that was in the area to pick up a dog, but they really said, they couldn't get into the traffic. It was going to be too much. So we couldn't coordinate that. They're out in LA, but there's a lot of pets in LA. I mean, that's a big problem area too. That is just shelters there are also overcrowded, and it's a big issue. So
How about that monster dog that Ozzie saw?
oh my God, he FaceTimed me just in shock because every time he sees a dog, he of course stops, plays with the dog, and then FaceTimes me and shows me the dog. So every time he's on the road, he finds a dog somewhere, somehow. And he found this 210-pound dog and was freaking out because he was like a giant. And the fan who had him, I think he lives also here in Atlanta, And Ozzy ended up exchanging phone numbers with him, and like they talked, and like so that they made plans to see each other again. So it was really funny.
One of the things is we posted about a couple things that Ozzy was wearing, like you're wearing, your merchandise from the Ozzie Albies Foundation. So we
Yes.
posted a photo. Ozzy was wearing a shirt, and somebody says, "Oh, I need to have that shirt." So we ended up finding it on your page, posted the link, and they said, "I got it." So a couple people bought the shirts
Oh,
on
that's
there.
awesome.
Where are some of the, of course, we'll post a link and all that, but you want to share a little bit about your the merchandise that y'all have, and but you got all different type
Yeah.
of things on there.
Oh, we do. So we have the merchandise at the OzzieAlbiesFoundation.org. All of that, I mean, 100% of proceeds sold through the Ozzie Albies Foundation goes back to the foundation and back to the dogs. So we have tons of fun shirts there with the Ozzie Albies Foundation logo. The baseball dogs and naps is a really famous one that people love when they see. And then we also have Ozzie Albies One, which is Ozzie's personal website. And that's where we sell just like the logo, the other shirts that represent Ozzie, and we always a percentage of those sales goes to the Ozzie Albies Foundation. So we also have shirts now placed inside Duck's Dugout in Marietta. And they allowed us to place some of our shirts there so people could just walk in and purchase and a lot of times we do promotions where you get a free bobblehead with your shirt, or you can buy it as a bundle. So we always try to find ways to fundraise for the foundation locally, and that way we can get closer to building up that shelter space that we want so badly. So
Yeah, I mean that's great because a lot of people want to support the foundation, but they can't foster or they can't adopt or for
yeah.
whatever reason because it's a significant commitment. But somebody can get a T-shirt, or I saw that you had like an Amazon wish list for rescues. And maybe they
Yes.
could buy one bag of dog food, or I think even on the site it's like, hey, if you want to donate $5, that's like would be amazing, and so those are all great ways that people can, get involved. Maybe if they don't have the ability to be, the ultimate commitment with, fostering or adopting. But
Yes.
tell us a little bit about the podcast, Think Like a Dog podcast, and how did that start and how's that going for you?
Yes. And before we go into that, because you mentioned the $5 donation and the different
Yeah.
ways that people can contribute, we recently started a international fund to help other countries and other rescues outside of the United States. And this year, we're going to go to Colombia and we're going to help a rescue there with the neuter and spay the stray dogs that are on the street. They have a huge issue as well with stray dog population.
Hmm.
And $18 we can neuter a dog with $18 there. So $18 goes a long way. $5 go a long way. So we're reaching out to other countries too, because as each country that we plan to visit, we also want to connect with the local rescue there. And looking forward to Colombia because we'll be able to help, more than 300 dogs
Oh,
during our
that's
time there.
great.
So it's
That's
going to be
fantastic.
awesome. Yeah.
That's
So
fantastic.
we're looking forward to it. We'll be having a lot of content there and maybe even bring a dog home that we could put up for adoption here in Atlanta. But with the podcast, Think Like a Dog podcast, we started that, I want to say about a year ago, or it's going to be a year now. And it's Millie and I, we just have conversations about being dog owners. Millie is a dog trainer. She's the trainer and owner of Mirror Image Canine.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's a fun conversation because, we talk about training tips. We talk about, vet care, rescue, adoption, what to expect when you first adopt a dog, puppies, and I mean, everything that has to do with owning a dog or caring about a dog. We talk about it there, and it's been going really well. We've had several guests on our podcast, people that we admire and work with. So it's a really fun listen. If anyone wants to check out Think Like a Dog, And we, it's like we always talk about, we might talk about training in one way, but there's never just one way to do it, right? It's really what works for you. And we are very open about that. That's why I love Mirror Image so much, is because they don't have an ego. It's not like my way or no way. It's like what works for you. Let's talk about what works for you. So that's why we really love working with them, and we're proud to partner with them too.
That's great. We've talked about a lot of great things today, Andrea. Donating where you can, your local involvement, now expanding to international. You've got the podcast, you've got various social media channels that people can connect with you on. We will certainly continue to follow everything you're doing, you and Ozzie, and continue to post that content on our social media as well. So we just want
Thank
to really,
you.
yeah, definitely. And hey, everybody go out there and, get an Ozzie Foundation t-shirt also. But we really want to thank you for joining us today, Sean and I, and just appreciate everything you're doing for the dog loving community out there.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. I'm so glad to talk to you guys. Ozzy has a public signing coming up on November 16th, and it's going to be near the Battery area. And that the proceeds to that is also going to go back to the Ozzie Albies Foundation. So if anybody wants to meet Ozzy, November 16th is the day that he's going to be meeting some fans. And he loves to do it. So when he's there, he
Awesome.
has a smile on his face, he makes friends. I mean, it's awesome. So we're
Cool.
looking forward to it.
Thanks again for everything. We sure appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you guys for everything that you do. It's great talking to you. I'm glad we got connected. So
Thanks.
Thanks, Andrea. We'll talk to you again soon.
thank you.
Bye.